Hi everybody, I'm Kate Fogger, this is Julie Hurt, and together we are making light. So today we're just going to do a really quick episode because, why Julie? Because we're so busy. So it's a very common theme we think this time of year, and we've both been bemoaning about the fact that there is trying to put time aside to do the things we really want to do, things that are really exciting, because as you know, we had that episode with Danielle. I've got some really exciting ideas, Julie's doing some stuff, and I'm just not getting to it. And so that's the theme, and I think it's a very common theme this time of year. So in the interest of keeping it short, we're going to talk about busyness.
And you know what just came to me too, in that the idea of busyness, and we're going to keep it short. Like, yes, we are going to have a hard stop here in a little bit. However, us trying to control it also adds to that feeling of busyness and the overwhelm. Because like for me, which I think is what for you, like this idea of I've got all this stuff to do and time is finite. And so I can't get it all done. And then I go to bed. I don't think I got everything done that I need to get done. And then it's just this, and I just, totally there.
And the thing is, I like so many things. I absolutely know. I think it was one of the first quotes I ever learned was from Nick Bro, which was, you cannot create a business of ease from a life of stress. You cannot create a life of ease from a position of stress. So and I also know, so the collective, who is, I think I've talked about them. So Jess Lively does a podcast. She actually has a whole lot of stuff now. Jess Lively, she's called. I'll put the links down there. But she works with Annie Francoeur, I think her name is, and she channels the collective, which is a bit like Abraham Hicks. It's a non-physical entity. I don't know if it's a collection of people called the collective. I suppose it would be. Anyway, so it's like Abraham, and they say that, I remember listening to something else like, it's really paradoxical, but it's so obvious when you think about it. Overwhelm is your body's way of telling you to slow down, whereas our reaction to overwhelm is to go faster, because we think that we can outrun it. And it's like, you can't. The whole point of our emotions is to signal to the body, the brain that's not listening, hey, because I think emotions are created by the body. It's like, hey, listen. And that's,
yes, it's true. The emotion,
that's the whole point of emotions, is to sort of flag to you what's going on. Yes. And what's actually going on in you, and you feel it in your body. But we try and reason our way out of it, and we go, oh my god, I feel really rushed, I've got to go quicker. And it's like, you're feeling really rushed because your body's telling you to slow down, because you know what happens, haste makes waste, all of that, you just go crazy. So I know through my core of being that if you are in a place of stress, everything's going to go to shit really quickly, because it does when you're stressed. And B, you can't outrun it. There is nothing you can do to make it better other than slow down. The other thing, it's all coming to me now, the other thing that comes to mind is, do you remember when you were living in your RV at your first new house? Yes. And we did that extreme self-care, and you decided, and you just said how the minute you slowed down, that you made yourself stop, and problems sort of ceased to exist. It wasn't even that they got solved, they just, and that's, so like, we know all this. So what the fuck, what's going on?
Okay, so I think it's actually a perfect example of us being intuitives and being human, because the busyness and the aspect of everything that we're experiencing is the human part of it, which is perfectly normal, particularly as women in Western culture. The intuitive part of it, to me, and I know you pulled cards this morning, for me too, the signs and the synchronicity. So like, for example, this is my favorite mug. I don't know if anybody can see it. It says, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. XO, hugs and kisses, Prince." One of my favorite artists of all time. And he, actually got to see him live. Oh my God, he's amazing. Anyway, but this mug was given to me by somebody that worked for me in Alaska. And I think of her often, but my husband usually brings my coffee to me, and he brought it to me in this mug. And I'm like, this is exactly how I've been feeling, because yesterday we had a new mattress delivered, and then somebody else came and got the old mattress, and then I had to put the whole bedroom back together. And I did not have, did I have appointments yesterday? I had a couple, but enough room in the schedule to get everything done. But by the end of the day, I was exhausted and my body hurt so badly. Luckily, we have a new mattress and it's lovely.
And you slept beautifully.
Yeah. And even though I pushed myself to get everything aligned just perfectly, I still knew that the guides, or, the universe had cleared my schedule enough so that I could actually do all that and prepare for it. Now, what I do with that today is something different. However, today, my horoscope says for today, because I follow the Channing Nicholas app, and today it was, because I've had this thing on my mind too about, I haven't been able to get to social media and schedule a bunch of posts and do a bunch of videos and do the content creation that I actually really like to do. I just haven't felt like I've had the time to do it. My horoscope today was like, and I've been asking my guides, okay, what am I supposed to do? And they keep saying, just relax, relax. And the horoscope said that today too. Let everything fall away and just be in the moment, because in that time, the new creativity will come to light. And then, to your point about the brain, I was listening to this podcast that our fabulous teacher, Danielle McKinnon, just turned me on to. It's called How to Human. It's by Sam Lamott, who is Annie Lamott's son. And
Who's Annie Lamott?
Annie Lamott is a writer. She's a spiritual writer too. I'm trying to think. I don't presently have any of her books. We will put it in the show notes. Anywhoozle. But he is interviewing Nicole LaPera, who is the holistic psychologist, who I actually follow on Instagram and have for a while, that she's talking about being busy too. And the exact same thing that you said, Kate, that it's your body's responses to tell you to slow down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is again. There it is again. The guides, the signs, the universe are all telling us it's, and we're also coming on to solstice. Next week is winter solstice, which for us in the Northern Hemisphere is
should be slowing down.
Yeah, we're supposed to slow down. We're supposed to reflect at this time.
And that's what I'm supposed to be doing in this course. Like I was going to stop everything to do this course with Eva Baronius, which is about, what's a chicken? About dying and then rebirth. She says that everything closes down, and I just can't get to it. And I have genuinely stopped doing anything. The shed's shut. I had one booking this week. I got nothing else to do, and I still can't get to it because stuff just keeps coming up just out of nowhere. And that's I think that's like, it's never mind how I feel about it, which is pretty rubbish. I actually look at my schedule and I think this doesn't add up. Why do I not have enough time? Because I don't sit about. I haven't even been watching Judge Judy. I haven't been playing Candy Crush. It doesn't. Yeah. I don't know where the time goes, and I think a lot of it is just stuff like I was telling Julie before we start. It says unexplained, and this is the point. Is like I cannot. Things will come up and keep coming up and keep coming up until you calm down, because I have cleared my diary of everything that I can. To be fair, actually, there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't count as work, but it's still very time consuming. We had 3 calls on Monday, didn't we? We had book club, followed by lab, followed by the interview with Danielle. So that that's half a day, but I don't count that. That's always the way. It's like, that doesn't count. What did I do the rest of the day? And then I have this incident with the shopping. I told you that we had our shopping delivered, and unfortunately the guy got stuck in the mud turning the van around, because we're right at the top of far end of a farm road, and there's the turning circle's too small for their vans, so they reversed back onto the farm, and somebody had chewed up the land and got stuck in the mud. And I felt really sorry for him, but what am I going to do about it? And then Tesco's phoned me and told me they weren't going to deliver my shopping anymore, and you're like, So that probably consumed half a day of me, even while I wasn't actually doing anything, consumed my energy about going, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's not the end of the world, but I'm going to, now I'm going to have to plan around it. And then the resentment that it's Muggins here that's going to have to go and collect the shopping because Gary expects me to do it. And why should it be my job? And just like spiral off. And then something else came up. I can't remember all these things. And it's like, it's like my time will always be filled until I make time. It's just beginning to dawn on me that I actually just need to go, fuck it, and actually even stop trying to get on with what it is I'm trying to do, because I'm just not getting to it, and actually go, I'm just going to do nothing and sit here and do nothing until that calmness becomes something I can get some momentum in my calmness, because it's like it's almost like the abundance thing, you know, that you manifesting stuff, it works for bad stuff as well. As long as you are in busyness and feeling busyness and living busyness, the universe will keep giving you shit to keep you busy.
That just really hit. That just really, really hit. Because so Monday was so interesting to me, because I knew we were going to be on camera, Zoom, for 3 hours straight. I knew that. And then I had a block after our conversation with Danielle I needed to prepare the bedroom for the arrival of the mattress. So because I needed to get stuff out of the nightstands. It doesn't matter anyway, but I had to do some preparation so that when Brad came home, we could easily make the transition to get stuff ready. Anyway, but the conversation with Danielle ran long. Yay, abundance, right? And then so that little block of free time got squished. Then of course I had emails that came in, and I'm like, okay, I might as well just stay here, because I then had a client, and then I had another block of time that was supposed to be free, but the client conversation ran a little bit long. And I know, well, and because, well,
yeah, well, but
I know, right? I can hear the excuses coming. She arrived late, so I allowed it to go. Like, yeah, I mean, anyway.
If you don't value your time, Julie, nobody else is gonna.
That's hitting.
No, I did the same yesterday. I normally don't, but I was speaking to this lovely lady, and she was just so anyway, at the end of it, that I spoke. It wasn't for long, but we're only human. We are only human, and it's hard to put the phone down on someone who's obviously enjoying the connection.
Yeah. Well, new client, and I wanted to make sure that she felt she had everything she needed, and which is me putting, attaching to the outcome. But yeah, it's just like, and then like today I had, after we're done today in our scheduled time, I had this whole block until whatever time. And then I chaired this board, and then late last night, the treasurer contacted me and is like, I need to talk to you because we have a board meeting on Friday. It's like, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, here we go again.
So you and me, sorry, there's this bird. I'm gonna have to take a picture of it and send it to you. Oh, the starlings are out. I didn't see them. They're all fluffed up. This bird, and Gary goes, he's looked it up, especially it's too far away for us to get a decent photo. So it's about the size, but it's smaller than a pigeon, bigger than a blackbird. But it looks like a pigeon, but it's got much more complicated markings, and he reckons it's a cuckoo. Cuckoos are supposed to be in Africa since June, but there's 2 of them, and they keep coming back, and they're quite clumsy. They sort of, I need to get I've got really far anyway.
You have to Google the totem.
You can't
Cuckoos are associated with clocks. Cuckoos are associated with clocks.
Well, okay, but it's middle of winter and it's supposed to be in Africa.
No, but okay, so okay. Here's where we're intuitive, right? Like, and animal communicators, which we're not gonna.
I never thought to ask him. Right, okay.
But we can. But this is what just like the guides just went, hello, you're talking about busyness. Cuckoos just are associated with clocks. Their clocks potentially are off, climate change, all the things. And also storms, like, well, if they're migrating and there's a storm that comes through.
June. They leave in June. It's like December.
Yeah, and see, well, not by you. Here, it's like super warm. It's warmer in the northern hemisphere right now than it should be, right? So, okay, but continue. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm going to look up.
No, when I'm going to look up cuckoos. What was talking about? Right, yes, you and me, Mrs. Back to basics.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is a message to all of you people, because I know, like, I don't even do Christmas, and yet even just trying to find, the only person I'm buying presents for is my mom, and it's only because obviously I don't want her to be in the home while everyone's opening presents, and everyone goes, oh, her family's really fucking mean, they didn't buy her anything. I don't care that they think I'm mean, but I don't want my mum to not have a present to open. So I'm trying to get some stuff for my mum. My sister and I had a negotiation of, should we get this or should we get that or get this? We end up getting everything, and then so now I know I have to buy wrapping paper, and I don't know if Tesco's are going to deliver my food anymore, and all this stuff is coming out of nowhere, and now I need to so I went to see if she had slippers and looked through her clothes, because normally when I see her I'm not in her room. So I went and had a rifle through all her clothes, and actually she needs new slippers, and she's got her boots actually have been able to wear. She doesn't go out much, but I don't want her to go out and obviously get wet feet, so I need to buy boots. Do you know, like all this stuff. So I cannot imagine what it's like for the average family. By average, I don't mean normal or anything. I just mean anyone that's got more than just their mother to take care of. Anybody who feeds more than one vegetarian husband at Christmas, who doesn't give a shit about Christmas. You guys, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how anybody does it. I'm freaked out just by the fact that everyone else is busy, so I need to go shopping because the shops are going to be mental. Like, I don't buy for Christmas, but I still get sucked into the whole it's got to be done because I'm terrified that the shops are going to be shut for, I don't know, 24 hours. I only shop once a week, it doesn't matter, but this mentality, I had to get oil in because it's going to be really, really busy. I couldn't get firewood because it's Christmas and every fucker in the world wants firewood. It's like, even if you don't engage, you're still affected by this madness that is Christmas. So in summary, all you people out there who do amazing things and feed more than one other person, I don't know how you do it. We need to go back to basics. And back to basics is...
Hate Christmas, by the way, but that's another topic. Not that I want to explain that later, but that's a whole nother, yes. Because it's
back to basics is you cannot make a peaceful life when you're stressed. You have to get unbusy to be unbusy. That makes sense. And I don't know how you do that, but you actually have to find a way to not do stuff, like genuinely not do stuff. See what happens. So we'll try that. But go on, what's a cuckoo?
So I'm not fine. Okay, so cuckoo, I had to dig a little bit, which tells me that I'm not looking in the right spot, because usually it should come up right away. Actually, I'm going to do it this way.
I'm going to have a look now.
Yeah, because it's like, when it's coming up on my phone, it's not giving me a cuckoo totem. It's not giving me a, oh, here we go. We're walking with cuckoo totem means your life is a journey, and the way you get through it matters. As your environment changes, you adapt and make new. And then it cuts me off because I know that okay. I just want to share my screen. Can I share my screen just a second?
Yeah,
Here, let me do this so that people know what we're talking. Share screen. Is that what it kind of looks like?
Yeah. And it's, see how its wings drop, because it's quite clumsy. It keeps landing in the sort of bushes, trees that are obviously too light for it, and they sort of swing down on these trees. They're quite nice shoes.
My stepdaughter.
But far more interesting is Julie's 26 fresh pomegranate recipes.
Oh, totally. Oh my gosh. I bought my first pomegranate, and I'm learning to cook with fascinating.
You bought your first pomegranate?
Yeah.
I suppose I've never bought one right now.
Yeah. So anyway, This is showing us about, teaches us how to cover innate gifts. There was something else about it that's further.
We can only see the table of contents. We can't see what it. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that we get to the part that came up, because here's what I want to show you. This is how I do totems. So
okay.
I Google the animal plus totem, and then I do this with angel numbers too. So everybody out there, here's tips for you. And then if you do angel number, whatever number, like 1845, whatever comes up first, that's what you're supposed to read. And many of these things that come up first like this, as you can see when you click through, well, I'm going to back up before I do this. I read that little bit that comes up first. That's what your guides and the universe wants you to know. So then when you click through the bigger page, you have to get to that part again, or else this all gets overwhelming and watered down for you. So I'm not going to do all that on camera, because it's a lot, but there's something there for us about that. Yeah, which
well, it is actually, and that's actually the root of all spiritualism, isn't it? Is that it's all about the journey and how you do it. It's what is it? It's life is a journey. It's how you drive that matters. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, and it sounds like for us, this busyness chapter, this busyness rest stop along the highway, is just where we are right now. Yeah.
It was only in saying that to you, because I'm so relieved when I hear you say the same thing, because I'm like, am I just going crazy? Like, what do I, it's like I want to almost fucking write down what I do all day to try and explain it to myself, because I can't explain it. But I've just realized all this with the shopping, it's also our central heating for some reason is really noisy and I don't really know why. And then suddenly I'm like, I need to bleed the radiators. And then I thought, fuck, I actually don't know. We've got to stop doing it. I actually don't know how the heating system is topped up.
Oh.
So I'm like, I can't go and bleed. And then suddenly I'm like, Jesus, we've been in this house 4 years. Like, what have I been doing? I don't know. I don't understand the basic systems of how this house is so complicated. The guy was a fuck knows aircraft engineer, I think. Like, he'd put in his own heating system and then he took it out and then he'd put in something else. And when we got here, there was LAN cables connecting all I don't know what you guys call it, Ethernet, connecting all the rooms. But of course, fortunately, the broadband works because he had all these switches with like 100 like telecom switches, which I should understand, but there was no map. There was no map saying what was going where, what room it was in. What's like just complete random nonsense. So everything's really, anyway. My point is, all of those things that have been filling up my time could just as easily not have happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if I hadn't seen the guy get stuck in Tesco's, I wouldn't have phoned them. It probably wouldn't come an issue. They might have, all the stress that it put me under for the 3 days probably wouldn't have happened. I'd have just got this phone call going, Mrs. Foggo, if it's really icy, they might phone you from the bottom of the road. Is that okay? That would have been my entire scope of knowledge of what had happened instead of consuming all this time of mine. Yeah. So my point is, all those things that happened would not have affected me had I not been in this state of.
Right.
I just wouldn't, it just, like Abraham Hicks says, when people say, well, how do you explain accidents if it's all about your vibration? They say you wouldn't be there. Yeah. They go, oh, I drove somewhere and there was a pile up and I got in the accident. How do you explain that? What's that got to do with my vibration? And they say, had you been in the right vibration, you'd have taken a different route. You just wouldn't have been there. It's like, it's not, we always go to say, well, these things, it's like they're finite. They happened. They had to happen. How do you explain that? And it's like, well, you just wouldn't have been there. You'd have been in a different, it's like that. I wouldn't have noticed the van, or I wouldn't have called Tesco's because it wouldn't have occurred to me. Or if I was a different headspace, I wouldn't have worried about it. So I'd have never made the phone call. I would never have known. It would never have become an issue. First, I'd have known about it because as it was all completely resolved. Only it took me 4 phone calls to get there. That none of that needed to happen.
Yeah.
So we need to stop doing anything. But it worked for you. Go back to the RV. Tell us what you did, Julie. How did you do it?
The RV?
When you did the extreme self-care.
That day, wasn't it? It was my birthday or close to my birthday too, right? And so we were living in the RV in our driveway of the new house, but we couldn't move in because 1, our stuff hadn't arrived from Alaska. 2, because the floors were being redone. Oh God, that house just makes me ugh. Anyway, so that day after we talked, I didn't do anything the rest of the day, because in that conversation you said, what would make you most happy right now? And I said, shopping for books, just spending the day perusing for books. And I did. That's exactly what I did. And yeah, everything just kind of, either the problems dissolved or took care of themselves. I don't even remember what all they were, but it all just like.
They were big. There was something to do with fencing.
Yeah.
All that, and it just became a non-issue, like just.
Yeah, it was almost like when I let go of the huge tangled knot, a ball of crap, when I let it go, it's almost like that. Then the energy was allowed it to untangle itself. It didn't need me. I was actually making it worse.
I'm actually, yes, and I think about the whole Tesco things, as I say, guy who actually phoned me today, who had no knowledge of any of the phone calls I'd made before. So if I had done none of that, didn't influence anything at all except get me all worked up, I would have just received this phone call going, Mrs. Foggo, if it's really snowy, you might have to drive that. I want to find the card that I picked, because I picked the cards about this yesterday, because I was then getting in my head about, oh my God, nobody's ever going to be able to deliver food to us again. What happens if we can't get oil? Well, then we'll have to move house and all of this. And it was, have I already, I don't think I said this on camera, did I?
No.
But one of them was about, not you have everything you need, but that everything is being taken care of, that I am being supported by the universe. And the second card was, there is nothing that can be made easier by your logical brain. Like, and it's like Matt Kahn says, there's no amount of hurt that can ever be avoided by the overthinking of choices. It's like,
Right.
because that's all I'm doing, is like I'm just following this logical rabbit hole that, as you say, gets into this huge tangle, because once you go down it, then I start to get into fear. Oh my God, they're going to stop delivering oil, then we're going to die because you can't live without oil. and then it jumped to, oh my God, it's so cold, how am I going to fill the hot tub? The guests are coming on Tuesday and it's still frozen outside. And I had visions of me like running with cups from the house trying to fill it, which would take me about 6 years, because you know all of this, and then you just end up in this mental. Sorry, I was going to look up the card, but I can't remember what it was.
While you look it up, I'm just going to say, like, one thing that I have started in the last 6 weeks, I think. And Sally Heike, who's going to be on the show next month, Sally Heike had told us this years ago. But she was like, every night when I go to bed, I ask my guides, what do I need to know about today that I can work on going forward or whatever. So now when I go to sleep, I used to listen to a podcast to go to sleep. Now when I get ready to go, I lay down, I actually could check in with my head guide. And I'm just like, what, how do you, how did today go? Where do you think I need to go? And that type of, I'm doing what Sally told us to do years ago. And I get information in a really short period of time, like seconds, and then I'm out. And I'm sleeping.
Just asking.
I'm asking I'm just saying, I go, hey, Aslan, because my head guide is Aslan from Language Wardrobe. Hey, Aslan, so today I felt like overwhelmed. Today I felt like I did a ton. Today I didn't feel like I did anything. I got anything. I felt like my wheels were turning and nothing happened, or whatever it was. And I'll just be, what's your take on it? What can I do better? And he will tell me, you know what, you did a lot, or you know what, that you did today, you don't need to do that again. Like, that's not where you need to focus your attention. And he's even beginning to give me some filters, so that if, like, for me, I really want to grow my business in 2023. So I'm asking him, and he's saying to me, if this doesn't grow your business, then you're not doing it. Because if your passion is your business, which it is, make sure that what you're doing, and find ways to rejuvenate, which, like, Sunday I spent all day baking, which I just felt fabulous about. So, which is where my pomegranate seeds come in. Anyway, but did you find your cards?
I didn't. It's really annoying.
Yeah. So while you're still looking, I'm just going to circle back on the I hate Christmas comment, just so that people don't take me out of context.
I'm going to stop looking. It's not great chat, is it?
It's fun. So I actually used to love Christmas, because my mom had a store downtown in the town where I grew up, and everybody was friendly and out, and you tell the whole community, and everybody, hi, Merry Christmas, all of that. Community, right? Connection. Now I get a list of what some so-and-so wants. I'm expected to buy something off the list. And then give it to them. And to me, that's a soulless gift. That's not.
Hang on. Who gives you a list?
I'm not going to reveal names on this podcast right now, so it doesn't matter.
But who gives you a list of things to buy?
People who want gifts from me.
You guys give each other lists?
I don't. I ask people, if you were going to give me anything this year, if you feel like you have to give me or Brad anything this year, here are 2 organizations that could use some funds. Please donate to them on our behalf. We don't need anything. Do not give us anything. And so far, no one has listened to that. Anyway.
I was going to say, I stopped giving presents about 10 years ago, and I still get from Gary's sister. But then I mean, at least these people say, I know you don't do presents, Kate. Here's something I wanted to give you, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I guess what I wanted to say, because I'm cognizant of time, we got 2 minutes, is that I don't even want anything for Christmas. I just don't, it ends up being like a money suck, a time suck, an expectation suck. And it's not fun anymore. All I want is if people are coming, let's just have a good meal and be done with it. I'll make a pie.
I agree. I totally agree. It's like everything, it all becomes about, that's what I'm saying, even though I don't buy into it, it's hugely stressful because everybody else is, it's like I can't go to the shops at the weekends, they'll be mental. I can't go into town because it's Christmas shopping. I can't buy anything online because everybody's buying Christmas presents. It's just like the whole world goes absolutely fucking crazy. I don't understand it.
You know what my guide just said? As I let all that out, you know what my guide just said? So what are you going to do then, Julie?
What are you going to do then, Julie?
That's what I'm going to do when Brad comes home tonight, because we've done the just donate for us. I'm just going to put this idea forward of let's just have a meal, because the meal in it of itself that I want to do is actually expensive to do, but I love doing it. And I love doing it, right? So then I don't care how much it costs, but that should be.
So you mean that you won't give people presents?
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. I did. I said to people, I stopped cards about 20 years ago, and about 10 years ago, I mean, the only people I'm talking about are really Gary's family. And I just said, because my sister didn't expect anything from me. I just said, I just don't do it. No, I don't do presents. I don't do Christmas. Please don't be offended. Because if I buy someone a present, I want it to be something I come across and I go, oh wow, I have to buy that for so and so. Whether it's, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, it shouldn't be. And most of us have too much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have another pile ready to go be donated. I had somebody come yesterday to take the old mattress, and then they're like, well, we can take extra stuff. And I'm like, there's a bunch of stuff in the garage that I haven't touched in over a year. I think that qualifies to go. And
Did you give it?
I did.
That's so brave. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Because my biggest hurdle was that, is this going to end up in a landfill? And he's like, we try not to put it there. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like,
well, listen, darling, if it does end up in landfill, it's better that than in your garage. I'm sorry, what would you do with it in your garage? That's landfill.
I was trying to find ultimately places that would take different things.
Agreed.
But everything costs so much money. It's like,
well, I went through this with the cat. The cat was sick on her blanket in her bed again, and it takes so much electricity when I clean her blanket. First of all, I have to get the vomit off, obviously. Then I have to get all the hair out of it because it just turns into a ginger mat. Get all the hair off it, then I have to wash it, and then I have to hoover it again, and then I have to take all the hair out of the machine and all of that. And actually, the amount of electricity it takes to do that, given I have to wash it on its own as well, and all of those things, I think it's probably cheaper, probably infinitely cheaper for me just to buy another, because I have to literally hand 10 minutes of hoovering to get all the hair out, and then I use that rolly stuff, and that's a roll of paper to get the hair off, and then I have to do the other side, and then I have to wash it, and then I have to go through the whole thing again afterwards. I thought it's actually cheaper for me to throw it out and buy a new one. And then I'm like, but I can't do it. It's like you can't win now ecologically, because if I throw it out, I'm throwing a perfectly good blanket to landfill because I don't want to hoover it. I mean, obviously, from my perspective, it's easier to buy a new one, but I don't mind spending the time doing it. But I was actually thinking about literally the amount of power and energy it requires for me to actually get the hair off this thing and wash it. And I was thinking, actually, if you added it up, it's probably cheaper for me to buy a new one.
yes,
that's not ecologically sound either, because
it's also that whole mindset is the trap. We can talk about this in another video, is this trap of consumerism and capitalism. We have to do more. We have some serious reckoning to do in farm.
We do, but there's no easy answer. That's the problem. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
I'm going to go and feed my little birdies. I was saying to Julie that the reason we're having to cut this short is because even though it is 2:30 here in Britain, if I go any later than this to put the seeds out, they're just wandering around like this going, I can't see them. Chickens are really, it's just they're in bed by 4 now. So
Okay, so with that being said,
but you and I, and everybody who's watching, just try. Let's try it. Let's try it for 24 hours, 12 hours, even 3 hours of just doing nothing and putting no expectation on yourself, and do it as an experiment. That's a good way to allow yourself to do it. Is go, okay, what if I just do nothing apart from what I want to do?
10 minutes, even just 10 minutes, and build from there. 3 hours can be a lot.
Just not worrying about time and doing something that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we can report back on that next week.
Yes, we will. Okay. All right. So with that being said, and the chickens are waiting, thank you so much for being here today. We are making light to humans being. I'm Julie Heert. As always, with me is Kate Fago. We'll have show notes below. Please subscribe to this channel so that others can find us. We still have this goal of having 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year or better. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, all the things. If you have questions, comments, leave them below. You know how this all goes. And we really hope to see you again next week, and let us know how it's going for you as far as trying to work with busyness. And we'll see you next time.